Come surely, Lord Jesus, as dawn follows night. Our hearts long to greet you as roses the light. Salvation draw near us, our vision engage. One candle is lit for the hope of the age. Come quickly, Shalom, teach us how to prepare for a gift that compels us with justice to care. Our spirits are restless till sin and war cease. One candle is lit for the reign of God's peace. Listen, the sounds of God with us ring clear, and signs of a cross in the distance appear. The Word once made flesh, yet the Word ever near. One candle is lit for the Christ birthday here. The Word once made flesh, yet the Word ever near. One candle is lit for the Christ birthday here.
Hey everybody, welcome to Vespers this evening. We're so glad that you have joined us and that we have the opportunity to be together even though we're distanced, and to remind each other that we're not alone. So we begin tonight like we do every Vespers, celebrating the presence of Christ in us, among us, and beyond us, and lighting this candle to represent Christ's presence with us. Well, I've been having a hard time forming some productive words about the news of the day today and what is going on. I'm grateful, though, about one thing, that when I watch the news and when I see these things happening, I also can think of you all. And I know that I'm not watching this just alone, but even now, even though we're separated, this time has reminded me that we're together, and that I know that I am part of a family of faith who's doing their best to walk in peace, to walk in love, to work for the good of all people, not just our own interests. And I'm grateful for the way that you show me again and again what it means to follow Jesus, what it means to walk in truth and love, and what it means to seek real justice for everyone. So thank you for being this beautiful family of faith. Mark has some words for us tonight, and he's going to share those at the end of our time together. We'll go to Mark and have a few words from Mark, speaking more directly to the events of the day as well. But tonight, we get the opportunity to talk with Juliette Wallace. Juliette has been away at college. This is her first semester at Hanover College, and so we get the chance to talk with her while she's at home for a little bit. Now, we do record these a little bit early, maybe a day or two early, and so had we been talking about this live tonight, I think Juliette probably would have spoken to the events of the day. But you can talk with her, and I'm sure that she'll give you the lowdown if you'd like to know. And which reminds me, if you want to hear some of Juliette's preaching, she preached a great sermon at the end of last summer, so you could go back on our YouTube channel and listen to the sermon that Juliette preached before going to college this year. But I will say, I think this is a great thing for us to listen to tonight. Juliette gives me hope. And excitement, even that our young people, even now, are working to lead us to places of peace and of justice, and gives me hope for the future as well. So she's back at home now, getting ready to head back to college, and this year's freshman class has had a unique entrance into higher education. So we get to hear a little bit about how she's doing and what she's been doing at college, and what she's looking forward to in the year to come. So let's go talk with Juliette. Hey Juliette, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. It's so good to see you. We haven't gotten to talk for a while. I miss getting to hang out. I miss our times in writers' workshop and all that. So, but it's great. It's great to see you. And you're off school for Christmas break. So how long do you have before you go back?
A week and a half. I go back next Friday.
Okay, yeah. Well, so just a little bit, and you got a pretty good break this time. So tell us a little bit about school and what it was like this year. Your first semester abroad.
Okay, I went to Hanover College, which is in Hanover, Indiana, which is exactly 98 miles from my house, which is so far. But that's great. And it's a really small school. There is like 1,200 students in total, which is so great for COVID. I mean, it still didn't end up well, but everyone was like, okay, we gotta be in person.
So you were able to do in person through?
No.
Oh, okay.
The whole semester,
Okay.
but for most of it.
That's pretty good. I mean, yeah.
Pretty good. I didn't have a roommate this semester, which was also pretty good until it wasn't good and I was going insane because I was alone. It was difficult living alone. I mean, like, it's on a college campus, but it's still alone.
Yeah.
COVID. We went online and I stayed on campus. And no one else stayed on campus. None of my friends stayed on campus. That was fun. That was great. But otherwise, first semester of college was great. All A's except for the one C that I got. So.
C's get degrees.
That is correct. A's also get degrees, but that's C's.
Maybe that's not the mantra to live by, but it is important to remember. Well, that's great. Tell us a little bit about, like, I think it's probably a little bit obvious about how school was different than you expected, but what was it? What were the differences for you?
Well, I didn't have a roommate because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I had double the furniture because I was supposed to have a roommate. So
I hadn't thought about double the furniture, really. That's
I slept on 2 mattresses and just spread everything out. Every time I left my dorm room, like the room, I had to wear a mask, like even to go take a shower. When that was the worst.
Yeah.
I made friends, like I made a lot of friends and masked the whole time, except for when we're eating, but like when we eat in the dining hall, there are barriers at the tables, like plastic sheets so that we don't spit on each other. So
there's like barriers around each person?
Yeah.
Wow.
Their faces are, I guess, pictures, but most of the time we were wearing masks around each other, which I don't know. If I thought like a year ago about making new friends, I never would have been like, I'm only gonna see their eyes and forehead.
Right. Yeah.
But my expectations were set pretty low because of COVID. Like, before, I didn't have much expectations because I didn't know where I was going, but I declared where I was going, like, during COVID. So I was just like, it's gonna be COVID, or it's gonna be mostly online.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to go be in person for a while and get to do that. I know that this has to be just a crazy and strange time to try to enter into college as well too. But I'm glad that it sounds like they did their darndest to make things work, and so that's good. I mean, so was there anything? Like college is there's a lot of stuff to learn, but there's also things you don't expect to learn in college that you come away from. Was there anything that you didn't expect to learn in college that you feel like you kind of walked away from this semester with?
Yes, I am like a big introvert, but this semester I learned that I'm not a big introvert. I really enjoy contact with humans, like in person. So that I learned at college. But I also learned how to like be independently by myself. Like before college, it was just like being by myself out in public was just the worst, and I would just like stare at my phone even if there's nothing to stare at because I didn't want to be really out there. But now it's just like I can do things without looking at my phone out in public and people are gonna watch me. It's okay.
That's an important thing to remember. Yeah.
Like I can eat by myself in public. That is terrific. Good for me.
Yeah. Well, those are hard things for anybody to do. It's really interesting to find out. We think of ourselves in one way as like, I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert, and then whenever we enter into a different context, we find out different things about ourselves. That's really interesting. So. Remind me, have you declared a major yet?
No, but I am this semester.
Oh, really?
Yes, fun stuff. So I'm gonna major in theological studies.
That's awesome. Well, that's great.
And I am going to try to minor in gender studies. That might be a little difficult. There aren't a lot of classes.
Oh, there aren't a lot of classes in that.
Yeah, like most of the gender studies classes are also theological studies classes, and we can't overlap more than 2. So I might not be able to do that, but I will take them anyway because feminist theology is fun.
Well, that's awesome. That is great. So tell us a little bit about what courses you'll be taking in your theological studies.
Last semester I took a class on God, Death, and the Afterlife. That's the title, and it was like everyone thought it was super depressing, like all my classmates, but my professor was like super like into it, and she writes books about death, and I love her. She's my favorite person. But I also was like super into it, and there were like a few other people who were like really into it because it was a lot of fun. It was great. I did an essay like at the end of the semester, and she was like, do this essay if you have a D or an F and it'll raise your grade. I had an A, but I did it anyway because it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you get to explore like God, death, and the afterlife throughout all different religions and contexts? That's really cool. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that. Was there anything surprising or interesting? What do you remember from that class?
So we did a lot about like Christianity and Judaism. Like that was half the semester. So I learned that like the Old Testament and like the evolution of heaven and hell, which is so cool. All of that fun stuff. But like we got into the other religions because there are so many, and I did not expect to love the ancient Egypt belief in the afterlife so much. It's so cool. It's like a journey. Like you have to do things to go into the afterlife. Before like everyone could go into the afterlife, the pharaohs in Egypt were like, only we can go into the afterlife and everyone else can suck it. But then they wrote it on a thing in the pyramids, and like someone and this other person wrote a book, and so the pharaohs were like, oh, okay, I guess everyone else can go into an afterlife, whatever, it's fine. But they were like, but I make the rules in this afterlife and you have to do things, so ha ha ha. First you have to like fly through a thing, and like all of these monsters are like trying to get you, and you have to like dodge it like it's a game of Wipeout. And then you go to a person and a god or whatever his name is, and he weighs your heart, and if it's lighter than a feather, then you get a go, because it's like you haven't done enough things to weigh your heart down. And then after that you go and you get like judged by 42 gods, like that specific number, which is like so interesting. And after that, before that you get judged by one goddess, and then she sends you down to the 42 gods, because I guess she needs a second opinion, or 42 more opinions. And then if they're like, keep going, then you get to go to like this field, and with all of your other dead family members that made it there, and you basically just work in a field for eternity.
Wow, that's elaborate.
Yeah. It's so cool.
But very interesting too. That is really, it's really amazing, and I'm sure really interesting to see kind of the broader strokes that go through all of these religions as well as you study them. That's cool. So, what other classes are you going to be taking, or have you taken in your major?
So next semester I'm taking a class on contemporary theology, and we have 3 semesters for some reason, and the last semester is a month long, and it's like you take one class 5 days a week for 4 hours, and that's like your only class that you take, and so I'm taking a class on Mary. So that's so cool and exciting.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. It'll be like the first class I'm taking that like focuses specifically on Christianity, which is cool. But I've really enjoyed focus on other religions. Like next semester, more focus on other religions, which is awesome.
Well, that's awesome. That is so great, and that's exciting. Declaring your major, looking at religious studies and also gender studies as well. So that is so cool. I'm excited to get to hear more about all those things that you're learning as you work through this. So tell us too. I know we spent one of the things that I miss us getting to do is our writers workshop. So have you had any time for any other activities while you've been going to school? Have you been able to do much writing or other things?
I haven't done much writing because I don't know, semester in college is like and
there's a lot of writing involved. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I don't want to just go back to my dorm and write, which maybe I should because writing is fun. But I instead have like been de-stressing with art, and I have painted a lot of people because I was living alone in a dorm and I was missing people, and so I painted people and I taped them on my door. But
oh, that is great. I hadn't really thought of it like that. As a way to miss people, you get to kind of be with folks again by painting them. That is so cool.
Yes. Okay, but here's Kara and Gino, because I miss them more than anything.
Oh, that is awesome.
I should probably send it to them. It might be weird. No, I'm going to keep it. Yeah, this is mine.
Can you hold it up again real quick? I want to see it again. So, that is so great. Oh, that's wonderful. So did you have a picture you were working off of, or are you doing all this from memory?
Yeah, they sent me this picture, and like other family members were in it, but they're in it, just them.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yes, and I did other things. I painted your daughter, and I mailed it to you.
I know, and it was wonderful. It was so great. I was like, this looks just like her. Do you have any other paintings you've done?
Yes. Okay, so my favorite person, besides like that I don't know, Colin Jost from SNL. He's a funny man. And then of course Kate McKinnon, also from SNL.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, I like them. and me.
Oh, that is great.
Yes, and other people, but they're honestly not as good as everyone else. John Mulaney. Yes.
That is so cool. That is awesome. You have done a lot of painting.
Yeah. It's kind of like de-stressing. Like I can just sit at one of my 2 desks and just paint and not think about college and COVID and death and the election. So it was just calming. Yeah,
that's a lot to be thinking about. I find painting really calming too. It's really interesting to. It really makes me try to see stuff. I often realize when I'm painting that I'm really not seeing what's in front of me.
Yeah.
Until I try to put it down on paper, then I'm like, oh, I totally missed like what's actually there. Yeah. So what about watercolor? What made you choose watercolor?
Well, I had it in front of me, and so it's also like a lot more fun than acrylic. Like I used to paint mostly acrylic, but I got into watercolor because like mixing it is a lot easier than anything else. And if you mess up, you can just like dab it with a paper towel and not worry about it. Plus, it looks cool. Like it looks cool.
I love the way watercolor works, and I've been trying to do watercolor too, and yet like it's nice to be able to dab stuff off. At the same time, I find it hard leaving the light spots light. Like you can't, whereas with acrylic or something else, you can paint your highlights on at the end and kind of work from the darker to the lighter. Like I found it hard to be able to do that. Makes me think about it in a different way. So
yes, that was difficult. I still am not like, I can't really do that as well as I would like to, but like I would just like start painting at like where I want it to be dark and then go to where I want it to be light, like with the same brush strokes, and that usually works.
That's good thinking. I'll have to go back and maybe try to think about it in that way too. That's great. So have you had a chance to do any writing at all? Have you been able to do? I think we had said earlier you'd been writing some letters.
Yeah. Yes. Jan Fisher and I have been writing letters to each other. I haven't responded to one of her letters. Like I have it and it's like in an envelope and it's stamped and addressed, but I haven't sent it. This happened a month ago. It's fine. But if you're watching this, Jan, I will respond one day. So that's been fun. Like we've been sending each other's like things that we've written. I've been sending her some poems that I've written in the past, like before I stopped writing poetry, and then she's been sending me some short stories that are just amazing. And I've also been writing Kara and Gino, obviously, because they're awesome, but I'm also really bad at replying to them, so I also have a letter for them that is stamped and addressed, and I did this a month ago, and it has not been sent.
So it's on the way, though. Well, the mail has had a lot going on lately, so it might have taken some extra time anyway, so maybe you're just saving the mail from the onslaught right now.
Yes, I'm saving it. I'm a hero.
It's good citizenship. That's what it is. Well, that's...
Yes, I also have a pen pal, and he has never responded to me, which is fine, whatever. I don't know who he is or how old he is. He's supposedly in elementary school in Madison, Indiana. I was paired up with him with this club, and so I've written him several letters, and I mostly just talk about myself because I don't know what to talk to him about because I don't know who he is. Right. But I gotta keep going because maybe one day he'll respond, and I've sent him envelopes that are stamped and they have my address and nothing. Whatever. I'm not offended. I've sent him coloring sheets. So maybe he's coloring with coloring sheets, or maybe he was just completely ignoring me and ripping them up because he hates letters, and maybe he can't read, or maybe he can and he just doesn't want to.
maybe though he's responded, but his envelopes are just kind of sitting on the table too, just waiting. So you never know.
I hope.
That is really cool though. That's a great way to keep in touch with people, and as you, it takes work to do that, but there's something so beautiful about letters, about writing, taking the time to write something out like that, to be able to see somebody else's handwriting. We don't get to do that as much anymore, so that is awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's a lost art. It should be done more, because it's awesome.
Well, that is cool. Yeah, and I feel like there's a different part of my brain that's working when I have a pen in my hand. It invites different thoughts and a more contemplative response than it would otherwise. Yeah. Well, tell us. I know it's been kind of a strange time, but it sounds like you have really made the best of it. Your first semester of college in this strangest year that I think that I have seen yet. And so, is there anything that you feel like you've gleaned from this pandemic? I often ask people about bright spots, but I'm kind of wondering, as we're looking forward, is there anything from this time that you would like to maybe take forward? Anything that you've learned, or habits, or things that you've kind of changed that you would like to see move with you?
Yes. Okay, it's one thing. A couple things actually, but number one, how to properly wash my hands. I apparently haven't been doing it right my whole life. Do that, and then in between the fingers and the wrists, apparently. So that I will take with me my whole life. So thank you, COVID, for that. But other things which is so depressing, but and it's on TV shows, but you never really internalize it until it happens. But it's you don't know when it's going to be the last time you see some people. I haven't seen most of my friends from high school since March 13th, but barely, because I ditched school that day, at 11. Because I'm a cool person. So that, for sure. Mostly that, and the hand washing thing, of course. Germs. I know a lot about germs, and so I'm basically a scientist. So I'm just gonna remember that germs are just everywhere, and talking and then basically spitting out germs at other people. I might just wear a mask for the rest of my life, because there's so many germs. It's gross.
Yeah. Well, those are things to remember. The world is filled with germs. Always wear a mask and wash your hands. But in all seriousness, this really I think it has highlighted for us how important our relationships are with people, how important it is to take time to spend time and cherish those relationships we have when we see folks. And it sounds like you're doing that. You're painting some awesome paintings and writing some letters too, and that's great. And so I'm so glad to get to hang out and to talk for a little bit and to hear how you're doing. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
And we hope you have a good next semester, a safe one, and that folks can stay healthy, and maybe you can have some more in-person classes. And
hopefully.
Yeah. So that'll be great. So you be safe, and let us know how things go, and we can talk a little bit later and find out all that you learned next semester.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. We'll see you later, Juliette.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much, Juliette, for taking time out to share with us. It really was a joy to get to see you again and to get to hang out, to get to see your paintings. Those really are wonderful. That's great stuff. And to hear about how things have been going with you. Thanks for doing this. It really is wonderful to be reminded of the hope we have for not just our future, but for even right now as our young folks continue to lead us into places of peace and justice. And now we're going to take just a few minutes, and Mark is going to share with us some thoughts from the events of the day. So here's Mark.
Good evening. Like most of you, I arrived home this afternoon to the troubling news of unrest and lawlessness at the U.S. Capitol. What I've seen sickens the heart as much as it offends the eyes. It reveals, with unquestionable clarity, a system of two Americas, where some citizens can breach the country's most sacred spaces with little to no resistance, while other citizens from this past summer, mostly those of color, can protest in the open streets and be met with a military-grade hostility. Today we've seen where the business of normal governmental activity can be pushed over the edge and forced under desks and chairs, where civil discourse and the ability to disagree without being disagreeable has devolved into one of the most shameful days in our national history. We might ask, how did we get here? But the trouble has been brewing for weeks and months, if not years. And while our land has never been completely whole, often suppressing the voices and victimizing the lives and experiences of the least powerful, what we witness today is a breach as severe as any other we have witnessed since the Civil War over 150 years ago. Our country is broken. Washington is broken, and our hearts are broken with it. So our appropriate response as a people of faith is to lament, to confess the pain that we're feeling that follows the shock that we've seen, to resist the call to be filled with nothing but anger and frustration, and to allow the tears of sorrow to flow and to soften our hearts, to pray for those who have been injured or hurt and pray that there will be no more injuries or harm, to redouble our efforts to persist in a work for justice, knowing that until everyone truly has a fair shake and has their voice heard and counted, we will never be completely delivered. To find a way to confront and speak up against evil while still being a people of peace. To remember Jesus' comfort that feels strange, how we are blessed when we have the courage to mourn, and how we are blessed still when we work as peacemakers. We must be truth tellers. We must be courageous in love. We must be united in our benevolence. We must be untiring to be witnesses of good news for our future. I found a Christmas poem from Madeleine Legal. I read it a few weeks ago, but it feels even more appropriate today. On this January the 6th, the day of Epiphany for the church, when we remember the the wise men who thwarted King Herod in order to visit baby Jesus. The name of the poem is The Risk of Birth. This is no time for a child to be born, with the earth betrayed by war and hate, and a comet slashing the sky to warn that time runs out and the sun burns late. That was no time for a child to be born in a land in the crushing grip of Rome. Honor and truth were trampled to scorn. Yet here did the Savior make his home. When is the time for love to be born? The inn is full on the planet Earth, and by a comet the sky is torn. Yet love still takes the risk of birth. We are going to get through this as a church and as a country. But first, we must face this trouble. We must confront it, struggle with it, pray through it, work and wait as we work some more with it. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be difficult. But it must be necessary. For sometimes we have to stare into the abyss before we can find our way out of it and find the risk of new birth. You know, it's not just words we say this time of year. It's the very prayer of our lives. The light has come into the darkness, and the darkness cannot put it out.
Thank you, Mark, so much for reminding us this evening about the call of God and the invitation on us to be light, to be peace, to be hope, and to be reminded that we have the opportunity to lament, to mourn over our losses, and at the same time to be able to see the hope of God that invites us forward. So let's sing a song. I always sing this song. What song am I going to sing? Mark talked about light, so we'll sing this little light of mine. I know I play this one all the time, but it's just this beautiful reminder to me that God is incarnate in us as we celebrate this time of incarnation when Christ comes again. We are reminded too that we invite Christ to be born in us. That light of Christ might shine through us as well. That we might be reminded that we are beloved children of God, and what peace that might bring when we can hopefully more and more see the beloved child of God in our neighbors as well. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Amen. Thanks so much for being here this evening. We hope that you'll join us again on Sunday as we meet again right here on our YouTube channel. You can join us back for morning worship at 11 a.m. If you'd like to know more about Central, or you'd like to get our weekly newsletters where you can find out more about what's going on, you can go to lexcentral.com, and there's plenty of links there on the front of the page to help you sign up for our newsletter, to help you find out about Zoom groups and other things that are happening as well this week. Next week for Vespers, we have the opportunity to hear from Drs. Jeff Fox and Kit Montgomery as we talk a little bit about COVID vaccine, and find out and hear a little more from them about this. So that'll be a good time to get to hear some timely information from folks in our community. So thank you so much for being here this evening, and we'll see you again soon. Go in peace.